From fan favorites disappearing to being completely written off from the show, Bluey has had many characters leave as quickly as they came. Today, we're gonna go over some of the characters from Bluey who have been forgotten, starting with Grandpa Bob. Grandpa Bob is Bandit's dad, and he's a character that was almost completely forgotten about. He was first introduced to us all the way back in season 1 as a cameo in the episode Grannies. This episode follows Bluey and Bingo pretending to be old ladies, complete with wigs, glasses, and some questionable dance moves. The main point is that Bingo wants to floss, and Bluey is sure that grannies do not floss. It's an extremely chaotic episode. That is until Grandpa Bob shows up. The kids are FaceTiming their Nana, who just can't point the camera properly. Grandpa Bob tries to help out, but all he manages to do is knock the tablet out of Nana's hands onto the ground. It's a really short appearance, but it instantly made him one of the show's most loved background characters. Everyone had big hopes for his return, but after Grannies, Grandpa Bob completely disappears from the show. Season after season, fans started to wonder what happened. Which was weird because Nana, who's Bandit's mum, has made several appearances throughout the series. For years, Bluey fans made their own theories. Some thought he was living quietly in an elderly home, and a lot of people had even assumed the worst, that he had passed away. But the truth, well, it was hiding in plain sight, because in one of Bluey's newer episodes, The Sign, Grandpa Bob finally returns, and we find out he's been in India this entire time on some sort of self-discovery retreat. That reveal may sound random, but the Bluey team actually planted hints all throughout season 3. In Housework, there's a postcard of a temple that looks exactly like the one in Delhi. The same postcards show up again in whale watching and musical statues. Then in Tina, we see it move next to an elephant postcard. It doesn't stop there though. In the episodes Driving and Ghost Basket, the fridge has a Taj Mahal postcard and an elephant magnet. Even Chili gives us a clue in the episode Stickbird, where she's reading a book that's clearly Eat, Pray, Love, which, you guessed it, takes place in India. So all of those little details, they were the writers telling us exactly where Bob had gone. According to the show creator Joe Brum, Bob's story was inspired by real people he met, older men who had traveled to India to find themselves after their kids had grown up. That's why Bob had been gone for 2 Christmases. He wasn't lost or forgotten, he was just out finding peace. So in the end, even though a lot of people had forgotten about Grandpa Bob, he ended up coming back. But not everyone got that same happy ending. The next Bluey character who vanished without explanation is Rusty's dad. Rusty's dad is one of those characters who says everything without saying much at all. He first appears in the episode Army. It starts with a little Jack Russell named Jack. From the moment he's introduced, he can't sit still. He's fidgeting, bouncing, forgetting everything. His hat, his lunch, anything he could forget, he forgets. His mum's trying to talk to him about school, but he's already staring out of the window. His dad's doing his best to help, but even then his little sister calls him out for not following instructions. Jack doesn't understand why he struggles, he just knows something feels off. When he finally gets to Calypso's school, Calypso gently pairs him with another kid, a red kelpie named Rusty. Rusty's the complete opposite. He's focused and literally in the middle of playing Army when Jack walks up. And the second Jack asks to join, Rusty goes full drill sergeant, telling Jack to fall into line. And the craziest part about all of this, it works. For the first time, Jack is focused. After that, Rusty starts training with him properly. Code names, push-ups, hand signals, he's taking it seriously, but in a way that motivates Jack, not embarrasses him. When Jack admits he struggles with remembering words and numbers, Rusty just says, well, you better get good if you want to be in the army. It's not harsh, it's exactly the push Jack needed. Then Rusty brings up his dad. He's in the army too. He's out on patrol, and Rusty says, when he comes home, he's bringing me condensed milk. It's such a small line, but you can tell how much impact Rusty's dad has. Later the boys face their mission, which is catching a bush turkey. They pretend to call in a helicopter rescue, and Jack has to remember their location's code name. He hesitates, but then nails it. Tango 7. Rusty smiles, gives him a thumbs up, and you can almost see how proud he is. By the end, Jack's not the kid who forgets things anymore. He's Private Russell. Rusty hands him a bottle of condensed milk. A small gift, but it means everything. When Jack gets home, his mum is obviously very confused. She asked him where he got the condensed milk from, and Jack tells her that Rusty gave it to him. Then the scene cuts, Rusty running into his dad's arms. The man he's been talking about the whole time is finally home. And that is Rusty's dad. He was really driving the lesson behind this episode, which is dealing with kids with ADHD or other attentive disorders. He's the kind of character who leaves a massive impact in just a few lines, and it would make sense for him to become a recurring figure, but then he disappears completely. That's the last we see of someone who I thought would play a massive role. But Rusty's story leads perfectly into the next one, because if Army showed how much Calypso's school changes kids' lives, then the episode Calypso shows you exactly why. Calypso isn't just a teacher, she's the soul of the school. In the episode Calypso, it opens with calm guitar music and Calypso singing softly about the rain leaving and the sun coming back. Around her, the classroom looks more like a fantasy village than a school. The moment she finishes her song, the kids scatter. Bluey's pretending to run a fish and chip shop. Rusty's building a house out of wood. The Terriers are off being Romans. Honey's building a tiny village, and Pretzel's lying on the floor, completely done with life. He's having the roughest school day imaginable. Calypso walks over, hands him a stick, and says nothing, just gives him a small smile. Pretzel groans and turns away, but we can tell what an insane display of patience this is from Calypso. Throughout the episode, she moves through the class like some kind of quiet guardian. She checks on her Honey's village and gently suggests she adds a forest. She tells Bluey to be patient with her customers. Every move she makes connects one kid's story to the next. Rusty rents out his house to Indy. Indy becomes Bluey's waitress. The Terriers defend the kingdom. And Calypso, through all of this, never interrupts. She just lets their imaginations collide until the classroom turns into one loving family. Eventually, Honey finishes her village, and the whole thing looks like a dream. But right as she finishes, Indy walks through carrying a stack of chip bags twice her height, ready to drop them right on top of the village. Calypso doesn't panic. She just calls for the Terriers. Instantly, the Romans form a shield wall, block Indy, and save the day. Everyone cheers like it's the most heroic moment ever. It's chaos, but it's organized chaos, the kind only Calypso could manage. By the end of the episode, Pretzel finally decides to join in. He's fishing now, using the same stick Calypso gave him earlier. Calypso sits beside him, calm as ever, and says, "If you catch a fish, let me know. There's someone I'd like you to meet." It's quiet, peaceful. It's the kind of ending that really stays with you, even after the episode. But once the episode concludes, Calypso slowly fades into the background. She shows up occasionally in the classroom, but she never really gets another episode where she has a big role, which is wild, because for a lot of fans, she was a very integral character and did a lot for the show. So what happened to Calypso? Most likely nothing major. Probably still teaching, guiding the kids, just not really in the spotlight anymore, which is really unfortunate because I strongly enjoyed her as a character. And she's not the last character I'd like to talk about, because lastly, we have Jean-Luc. Jean-Luc was different from your normal Bluey character. He didn't speak English and only appeared for one episode in season 1, episode 43. This is the episode Camping, and it starts off in total chaos. Bluey's pretending Muffin's caravan is a mansion, and Muffin's screaming about cups and frying pans and whatnot. It's mayhem until Bluey and Bingo run outside and Chili swoops in saying they haven't bathed in 3 days. She grabs Bingo, leaves Bluey behind, and in that moment, Bluey does what any self-respecting evicted child would do. She runs off to start a new life in the woods. And that's where she meets Jean-Luc, a French kid who walks into the show like he owns the place. He doesn't speak a single word of English, and Bluey doesn't understand him one bit, but somehow they click instantly. They start playing together and getting into all sorts of mischief, including hunting a boar, which is literally just Bandit making boar noises into a bucket. The next morning, they meet again by the stream. They rebuild their house, make plans, and come up with new traps to catch Bandit. Bluey and Jean-Luc have such great chemistry together despite not understanding a thing. And regardless of how much fun they're having, you can kind of feel the episode building towards a bittersweet ending. Like, you know something is about to happen, and that is exactly what happens. The very next morning, Jean-Luc is just gone. We don't really get an answer or any notice. He just up and leaves. She hangs around the place they first met, but he doesn't show up. Afterwards, she asks her mum why he had to leave, and Chili tells us that sometimes people from our lives just disappear. We see some time pass. Bluey gets older and is hanging out reading a book under the tree where her and Jean-Luc used to play. It's taller, stronger, and just as she looks up, Jean-Luc walks out of the woods. He smiles and says, "Hello, Bluey." This is arguably my favorite moment from the entire show. But do you want to know the crazy part? That's it. That's the last time we ever see him. Jean-Luc and his family were only in town for that one camping trip, but they never returned. And that's how we got one of the most unforgettable friendships in Bluey and had it turned into one of its most forgotten characters. These, in my opinion, are some of Bluey's most forgotten characters. And if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe. Thank you very much.